This is lecture 5 of module 2, chemical test or chemical characteristics. Chemical analysis of water is carried out in order to determine the chemical characteristics of water. The chemical test involve the determination of total solids, hardness, pH value, chloride content, residual chlorine, nitrogen content, iron and manganese, dissolved gases, etc. First one, total solids. And these include the solids in suspension, colloidal and in dissolved form. The quantity of suspended solids is determined by filtering the sample of water through a fine filter, drying and weighing. The quantity of dissolved and colloidal solids is determined by evaporating the filtered water and weighing the residue. And the total solids in a water sample can be directly determined by evaporating the water and weighing the residue. The total permissible amount of solids in water is generally limited to 500 ppm, although higher amounts up to 1000 ppm are also sometimes permitted but are likely to produce certain psychological effects on human system. Then second one, hardness. It is the property of water which prevents lathering of soap. It is caused due to the presence of carbonates and sulfates of calcium and magnesium in water. Sometimes the presence of chlorides and nitrates of calcium and magnesium also cause hardness in water. Hard waters are undesirable because they may lead to greater soap consumption, scaling of boilers, causing corrosion and incrustation of pipes, makes food tasteless, etc. There are two types of hardness, temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Temporary hardness, it is also called carbonate hardness, and permanent hardness also called non-carbonate hardness. And temporary hardness is due to the presence of carbonates and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, and it can be removed by boiling or by adding lime to the water. The permanent hardness is due to the presence of chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium. It cannot be removed by simply boiling the water, and it requires a special treatment of water softening. Then water softening methods is lime soda process, zeolite process, etc. And the total hardness equal to carbonate hardness plus non-carbonate hardness. And when most of the natural alkalinity in water is due to bicarbonate, which is produced by the action of groundwater in limestone or most of the natural alkalinity in water is due to bicarbonate, which is produced by the action of groundwater on limestone or chalk. That is, calcium carbonate reacts with water plus carbon dioxide gives calcium bicarbonate. When alkalinity is less than total hardness, carbonate hardness equal to alkalinity, and when alkalinity is greater than or equal to total hardness, carbonate hardness equal to the total hardness. And hardness is usually expressed in milligrams per liter. Sometimes the hardness is represented in degrees of hardness. Each British degree of hardness is equal to 14.25 milligrams per liter. Then French degree is equal to 10 milligram per liter of hardness. Generally, the hardness is expressed in terms of milligrams per liter. Sometimes it is represented in degrees of hardness, that is British degree or French degree. In British degree of hardness, or each British degree of hardness is equal to 14.25 milligram per liter, and French degree of hardness is equal to 10 milligram per liter of hardness. And in general, under a normal range of pH value, water with hardness up to 75 ppm are considered soft, and those with 200 ppm and above are considered hard. In between, the water is considered as moderately hard, and the hardness limit for public supplies ranges between 75 to 115 ppm. And hardness may be determined either by the soap test or the Versenate or EDTA method. EDTA method is considered to be most accurate. Then in EDTA method, a sample volume of 20 ml is taken. Then dilute this 20 ml sample in the Erlenmeyer flask to 40 ml by adding 20 ml distilled water. Then 1 ml of ammonia is added so as to bring the pH to 10 plus or minus 0.01. Then 1 to 2 drops of indicator solution is added. If there is a calcium or magnesium hardness, the solution turns wine red. Then EDTA titrant is added with rigorous shaking till the wine red color just turns blue. Then note the volume of the titrant. Then hardness, as it is expressed in milligram per liter as calcium carbonate, that equal to V1 into S into 1000 by V, where V1 is the volume of titrant used for sample, S the milligram of calcium carbonate equivalent to 1 ml EDTA titrant, that is 1 ml EDTA is equal to 1 milligram calcium carbonate, hence S equal to 1. Next, chlorides. Chlorides are usually present in water in the form of sodium chloride, and these impart a salty taste to water. The natural water near the mines and sea dissolves sodium chloride. Similarly, the presence of chlorides may be due to the mixing of saline water and sewage in the water. Excess of chloride is dangerous and is unfit for use. The chloride content can be reduced by diluting the water. Chlorides above 250 ppm are not permissible in water. And the usual method of determining chlorides is the volumetric procedure called Morse method, and this depends upon the precipitation of silver chloride by the addition of a standard solution of silver nitrate to the sample in the presence of potassium chromate as an indicator. And this indicator is capable of demonstrating the slightest excess of silver nitrate to reach the endpoint. Then a reddish brown precipitate of silver chromate is formed, which shows that all the chloride has been precipitated. That is a chemical reaction, that is NaCl plus AgNO3, that is sodium chloride plus silver nitrate gives AgCl plus NaNO3, that is AgCl silver chloride, and this silver chloride reacts with the potassium chromate, gives silver chromate. And for determining chloride, the procedure is first take 20 ml of the sample, and this 20 ml sample is diluted to 40 ml by adding 20 ml distilled water. Then add 1 ml indicator solution. Indicator is potassium chromate as indicator. Then the solution becomes greenish yellow in color, and this is titrated against silver nitrate solution until the pinkish yellow color is obtained. Note the volume of the titrant, that is V1. Then the same procedure is repeated for blank. Blank means distilled water, and note down the volume V2. Then chloride in milligram per liter equal to V1 minus V2 into N into 35.46 into 1000 divided by V. That is the procedure for determining chloride. Next, chlorine. Chlorine, that is dissolved free chlorine is never found in natural water. It is present only in the treated water resulting from disinfection with chlorine. The chlorine remains as residual in treated water for the sake of safety against pathogenic bacteria. Residual chlorine means it is the free chlorine remaining in water after a contact period of 15 to 30 minutes of contact between water and the chlorine dose. The presence of residual chlorine ensures an effective check over the reduction of bacteria in water to the safe limit. The residual chlorine may be present in the free form, which has a very rapid disinfecting action, or it may be in the combined form with ammonia to form chloramines, which is less active. The residual chlorine should remain between 0.05 to 0.2 ppm in the water so that it remains safe against pathogenic bacteria. Then the procedure for determining the residual chlorine: first take 20 ml sample, then add 5 ml acetic acid and 1 gram potassium iodide, and it is mixed well, and this mixture is titrated against 0.0 normal thiosulfate until the solution turns straw yellow color. Then after obtaining the straw yellow color, add 1 ml of starch solution and titrate until the blue color disappears. Note the volume of the titrant, that is A. Then similarly, take 20 ml of distilled water and add 5 ml acetic acid and 1 gram potassium iodide and 1 ml starch solution. If the color occurs, titrate with 0.01 normal sodium thiosulfate solution till the blue color disappears. Note the volume of sodium thiosulfate, that is B1 or B. Then residual chlorine content, that is equal to A minus B into N into 35.45 into 1000 by ml of sample, where A is the volume of titrant used for sample and B is the volume of titrant used for blank or distilled water. Then this equation can also be written as, that is equal to A plus B1 or A minus B2 into 0.01 into 35.45 into 1000 milligram per liter. That divided by volume will give the concentration in milligram per liter. Next, iron and manganese. And these are generally found in water. If these are present less than 0.3 ppm, it is not objectionable. But if it exceeds 0.3 ppm, the water is not suitable for domestic purpose, bleaching, dyeing and laundering purposes. The presence of iron and manganese in water makes brownish red color in it, leads to the growth of microorganisms and corrodes the water pipes. Iron and manganese also cause taste and odor in the water. Then manganese zeolite, a natural green sand coated with manganese dioxide, can also be used for removing soluble iron and manganese from solution. Next, pH value. The pH value of water indicates the logarithm of reciprocal of hydrogen ion concentration present in water. It is a measure of acidity or alkalinity of a substance. Since the pH is the logarithm of reciprocal hydrogen ions, the higher values of pH means lower hydrogen ion concentration and thus represent alkaline solution, whereas the lower value of pH means higher hydrogen ion concentration representing acidic solutions. Then pH equal to, pH can be written as pH is equal to logarithm of 1 by hydrogen ion H plus or negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. Then for pure water is a balanced combination of positively charged hydrogen ions and negatively charged hydroxyl ions. In pure water or neutral water, their number is equal. That is, it has been found that the product of the concentration of hydrogen ions and concentration of OH ions in a water solution is constant. And this constant has been found to be equal to 10 raised to minus 14 moles per liter. Then, if for pure water, pH is 7. If the pH of water is more than 7, it will be alkaline, and if it is less than 7, it will be acidic. The maximum acidity will be at 0 value of pH, and the maximum alkalinity will be at a value of pH equal to 14. The lower value may cause tuberculation and corrosion, whereas higher value may produce incrustation, sediment deposits, difficulties in chlorination, and other bad effects on the human using the water. The permissible pH value for public supplies may range between 6.5 to 8.5. In some text, it may be 6.6 to 8.5 or 6.5 to 8.5. Then determination of pH. pH is determined by two methods, electrometric method and colorimetric method. In electrometric method, specially prepared electrodes are dipped in water sample and are connected to the dry cell or electric mains. A meter is also connected to the electric circuit, which directly indicates the pH value of the water. Then in colorimetric method, some indicator is added in the sample of water and the colors of foam is compared with the standard color solutions or color disc of non-pH value. The usual indicators are benzol yellow, methyl red, bromophenol blue, etc. for acidic range, and thymol blue, phenol red, toluene red, etc. for alkaline range. Then alkalinity, pH is a measure of acidity or alkalinity. Alkalinity means in natural water is due to the presence of salts of weak acids. The alkalinity is due to the presence of bicarbonate, carbonate or hydroxide. There are three normal forms of alkalinity: hydroxyl alkalinity, carbonate alkalinity and bicarbonate alkalinity. Then carbonates in limestone or chalk form are abundantly found in nature, so that while in contact with the carbon dioxide and on hydrolysis, bicarbonates are formed. That is, CaCO3 plus CO2 plus H2O gives CaHCO3 twice. Then for acidity means the term acidity with reference to the water and wastewater is defined as the capacity of substances contained in the water to take up hydroxyl ions to reach a defined pH value. And acidity in natural water is primarily due to the dissolution of carbon dioxide in water, which forms carbonic acid. That is, CO2 plus H2O gives H2CO3. H2CO3 is a carbonic acid. Then acidity are of the following two types, that is carbon dioxide acidity and mineral acidity. Carbon dioxide acidity is due to the presence of carbon dioxide in groundwater and surface water. Mineral acidity is due to the presence of HCl, H2SO4, HNO3 and strong organic acids. The mineral acidity is present in many industrial waste and the important industries. Next, nitrogen content. The presence of nitrogen in water is an indication of the presence of organic matter and may occur in one or more of the following forms, that is free ammonia or ammonia nitrogen, then albuminoid or organic nitrogen, nitrites and nitrates. The free ammonia indicates the first stage of decomposition of organic matter. Albuminoid nitrogen indicates the quantity of nitrogen present in water before the decomposition of the organic matter. And nitrites indicate the presence of partly decomposed organic matter, and nitrates indicate the presence of fully oxidized organic matter in water. And for potable water, free ammonia should not exceed 0.15 milligrams per liter. Organic nitrogen should not exceed 0.3 milligrams per liter. Nitrites present in potable water should be nil. And the nitrate concentration in domestic water supplies is 45 milligrams per liter. Presence of too much of nitrate in water may adversely affect the health of infants, causing a disease technically called methemoglobinemia, commonly called blue baby disease. The sum total of this free ammonia and albuminoid nitrogen is called Jerdal nitrogen. Next, dissolved gases. Various gases which may get dissolved in water due to its contact with the atmosphere or the ground surface may be nitrogen, methane, hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide and oxygen. First one, oxygen. The surface water contain large amount of dissolved oxygen because they absorb it from the atmosphere. Algae and other tiny plant life of water also give oxygen to the water. The presence of oxygen in water in dissolved form is necessary to keep it fresh and sparkling, but more quantity of oxygen causes corrosion to the pipe material. For potable water, dissolved oxygen content should not exceed 5 to 10 ppm or 5 to 10 milligrams per liter. The extent of organic matter present in water sample can also be easily estimated by supplying oxygen to this sample and finding the oxygen consumed by the organic matter present in water, and this oxygen demand is known as biochemical oxygen demand, that is BOD, and is tested for raw water as well as for treated water. And the BOD of raw water will indicate the extent of organic matter present, thus indicating the extent of treatment required for purifying this water to make it safe and wholesome. The BOD of treated water should be nil so as to make it free from any organic matter. The BOD of water during 5 days at 20 degrees Celsius is generally taken as the standard BOD or standard demand. Then BOD is determined in the laboratory by mixing or diluting a known volume of sample of water with a known volume of aerated pure water and then calculating the dissolved oxygen of this diluted sample. This diluted sample is then incubated for 5 days at 20 degrees Celsius. The DO of the diluted sample after 5 days after this period of incubation is again calculated. The difference between the initial value and the final value will indicate the oxygen consumed by the sewage sample in 5 days. Then BOD equal to dissolved oxygen consumed into dilution factor. That is, dilution factor means the ratio between the volume of diluted sample by volume of undiluted sample. Next, carbon dioxide. The water absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. If water comes across calcium and magnesium salts, the carbon dioxide acts on them and converts them into bicarbonates and causes hardness in the water. The presence of carbon dioxide can be easily determined by mixing the lime solution in the water. If it gives milky white color, the carbon dioxide is present in the water. The presence of carbon dioxide gas indicates biological activity, and it may impart bad taste and odor to the water and may also cause corrosion. Then hydrogen sulfide. The hydrogen sulfide gas, if present even in small amounts, give bad taste and odor to the water and should therefore be removed. Next,